Let's stay in the state of Texas, talk about the Aggies. Historic season for Mike Elko and Texas A&M, and they have really been cooking on the recruiting trail just this week. They flipped Houston wide receiver Jaden Warren. Why was he such a priority? I mean, Texas A&M, one of the hottest teams on the recruiting trail, but they really wanted Jaden Warren. What is it about Warren?
Speed, and more speed. We saw the breakout season that Mario Craver has had over in Aggie land. We see what KC Concepcion is doing in this offense, and they are looking for more pieces. The offense has flowed through those two fantastic receivers and, of course, a stout running game, and they are looking for instant impact freshman receiver to come in and bolster this passing game. And Jaden Warren has been doing it for the last 2 seasons at Iowa Colony. He has world-class speed, 10-2 in the 200, in the 100, excuse me, and has been absolutely a game breaker as a senior. Texas A&M never took their foot off the gas with Jaden Warren, had him on campus twice, and Houston even had him on campus on the weekend that he finally flipped to A&M. This was a very close race, but he goes to A&M where he's going to be featured in that offense, and I don't think they're done trying to add some more firepower on the offensive side of the ball, Josh.
All right. So what firepower could they add on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah. He did not make the visit a couple of weeks ago, but I'm told that communication between Hallman Wiggins and Troop Taylor and Mike Elko have continued with 4-star elite wide receiver Booby Feaster, who has been committed to USC in July. Texas A&M finished as a close second in that race before he committed on July 4th. They have not stopped recruiting him. He was penciled in to return to Aggie land to see his buddy play for the Aggies a couple of weeks ago. He did not make that trip. However, I'm told keep an eye on Booby Feaster going into signing day. That dialogue is continuing. He's saying all the right things for USC, but we know that Mike Elko and that staff are not going to let down anytime soon.
Yeah, and we had Booby Feaster on really early in the cycle, and he really talked up the Aggies. When he left the interview, I looked at my producer Trey, and I was like, I think it's Texas A&M for him. But obviously, he took some more visits and fit in well at USC. We'll see if they can, and they have the number 1 class in America. We'll see if they can hold on to him. We also talked a lot about Auburn targets, right? Jace Matthews and Braylon Womack. Jace Matthews, an elite wide receiver. Braylon Womack, one of the top safety prospects in America. Alex Golesh hired today. What's the latest with A&M and these two?
Yeah, they're not going to stop swinging here. I think A&M is in line for a couple of big fireworks on Wednesday in this entire early signing period. But Braylon Womack has been back to Auburn. He has returned to Mississippi State. I think things are starting to trend away from the Aggies here, and that's according to my colleague, Steve Wilfong, who's been all over this. And Jace Matthews, again, Alex Golesh coming to the Plains, I think that bodes extremely well for Auburn's chances of holding on to the 5-star wide receiver. I believe the Aggies are still swinging away. So is Ole Miss now that Pete Golding is in place. But I think both of those flips are becoming a little bit harder to see happening in the next couple of days.
Yeah. All right. And what about edge KJ Ford? I know USC was kind of involved. He's committed to Florida. He's out of Duncanville, Texas. So he's one of these commitments that's from out of state. Sometimes you kind of wonder what's going to happen there. We know USC kind of kicking the tires there. A&M. What are you hearing on KJ Ford?
Yeah, this recruitment, he is saying all the right things about John Sumrall taking over in Gainesville. He is saying that he plans to sign with Florida on Wednesday. With that said, I still feel pretty good about my prediction for him to ultimately flip to Texas A&M. The Aggies have kept KJ Ford warm for the entirety of his senior season. And from talking to those very knowledgeable on his recruitment, there's a sense that with the opportunity to play closer to home, the relationships he's built with Jay Bateman and Tony Gerard-Eddy, their defensive line coach, might be too hard for the Aggies to come up short in this race. He's been back to campus 3 times this season. Every single time, the confidence has continued to trend up for Texas A&M in this race. Of all the commitments who are very excited about John Sumrall coming to Florida, I'm still keeping KJ Ford on my flip radar on Wednesday.
And is it USC or A&M?
He did not make that visit to USC after being scheduled to. He had a playoff game on Saturday. The only team that I think is still swinging away for KJ Ford is those Aggies. And again, I like where they're sitting.
Okay, good intel there. All right. When it comes, I know we're talking 2026 right now, but when it comes to 2027, A&M is absolutely cooking. Is there a chance that we could see the Aggies finish number 1 overall in 2027?
Yeah, I think they had a chance to potentially finish at number one if a couple of dominoes fell the right way in this 2026 cycle. And I think they're on track already based on some of these blue chippers that they've added during this sensational 2025 season. They're in a great spot to bolster that class and compete for the number one class. We know that they have a couple of blue chippers, most recently Jaquan Snell committing, but they're in a great spot with some of the best offensive linemen in the country, guys like Albert Simeon, the number one interior offensive lineman, uh, Ismael Kamara, the number 2 offensive lineman, and of course, Kennedy Brown, a 5-star offensive tackle from Houston. All 3 of those kids have been on campus at least half a dozen times over the last year. They're also trending up with 4-star in-state offensive tackle Caden Scott, who I believe is not too far away from a decision. They are the favorite on the RPM for Caden McCarty, who a few days after National Signing Day will lock in his commitment, and the Aggies are a finalist. I also like where it's heading with Zane Rowe, a top 100 defensive lineman from Denton, Texas. I believe it's going to come down to A&M and Tech for him. He was at Oklahoma over the weekend, but I think the Aggies are in this more than people realize.
Pretty interesting there. All right. Well, it sounds like we're going to be talking some Aggies down the stretch here. Texas A&M fans, talk to Sam and I. Who are your top flip targets down the stretch in 2026? Let us know in the comment section below.